Hey everyone, and welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look at how you can use conditional formatting inside of Microsoft Excel. Conditional formatting is a very helpful tool that we can use to help us visualize and see patterns in our data. Let's move over into Excel. So for this lecture, we'll be going back to our sales data spreadsheet. And for our first example, we'll use our sales column. So let's say that we want to see from our sales column which orders had a value of $9,000 or above. We'll select all the data in our sales column. So we'll select the first cell in this column, so cell E2, and then press Ctrl plus Shift plus down arrow to select all the other cells with values in this column. With our data selected, we can now apply our conditional formatting. And we can find conditional formatting on the Home tab under the Styles group. If we hover over the button, it'll provide us with a brief description of what it does. So Microsoft describes conditional formatting as allowing you to easily spot trends and patterns in your data using bars, colors, and icons to visually highlight important values. So let's click on it, and we'll see a few different options. The first one is called Highlight Cell Rules, and within here we have options like greater than, less than, between, and so on. And in our case, we want to see orders that are above 9,000. So we'll click on greater than, and then in here, we can enter the value that we want to compare against. So I'll enter 9,000. And then over here, off to the right, we can change the formatting for the cell. So for this example, having an order value of over 9,000 would be seen as a good thing, as that's a high value order. So it would make sense to change the formatting of our cell to be green. You can also set a custom format in here too, but we'll leave it as green. And now, if we look down our spreadsheet, we'll see that it's very easy to identify and quickly pick out any orders where the sales amount was above $9,000. And on the flip side, we can also use conditional formatting to highlight cells below a certain value too. So let's go back to our conditional formatting menu and highlight cell rules again. And this time, we'll add in formatting for where the value is less than. And within here, we'll enter 1,000. Okay. And now we can see all of our orders that had a low order value too. Also, instead of putting in an absolute value like we've done here, we could also say to put in the top items or bottom items, which you can see here from within the top and bottom rules. Okay, and let's now have a look at how to delete conditional formatting rules. We'll go back to our conditional formatting button on our Home tab, and then instead of going into one of the top two options, we'll go down to the bottom where it says Manage Rules. From within here, we can see formatting rules for either our current selection or for the entire worksheet. Because I had the column selected when I clicked on this, I can see the rules within my current selection, but if I had opened this menu with nothing selected, we could change the drop-down menu to show the entire worksheet. And then now, all we need to do is select our rule and click on Delete Rule. To finish off, I'd also like to show you a couple of other types of conditional formatting available inside of Excel that are particularly helpful to visualize our data with. If we select our sales data again, and then go back to our conditional formatting menu, you'll see that we have options for data bars, color scales, and icon sets. So data bars place a bar within your cell that represents the value in that cell, where a higher value results in a longer bar. And if the bar fills the cell, and this cell is the highest value in that range of conditional formatting. You can quickly sort this column in descending order to illustrate this. Okay, and now let's just undo this, and I'll show you color scales. So there's a few different types of color scale, but with this one here, so the green, yellow, red color scale, the lowest value gets painted with red, and the highest in green, and then a range of orange and yellow in between, so that we can very quickly see what the highest order value was, what the lowest order value was, as well as all the orders in between. And then finally, we have icon sets. These provide a little icon to the right of the cell that indicate the value in the cell too. So in this case, a high order value would get a green up arrow, a medium-sized order would get a yellow arrow, and then a low order value would get a red down arrow. And Excel determines the threshold for what's determined as a red, yellow, or green. If you need more flexibility and control over your formatting, you can also create new rules down here from the New Rule option, but there's not too many situations in which this is needed. Okay, and that's it for our lecture on conditional formatting. I hope you found this helpful, And in the next video, we'll take a look at some other helpful tools that Excel has to offer, such as removing duplicate and blank rows, splitting columns, freezing panes, and more.